This is a Bulldog Radio podcast.
The Ferris State Bulldogs have upset the nation's #2 ranked team. Wide open! Taylor is going to take this one to the house! Touchdown Bulldogs!
Live from the Bulldog Radio Studios, it's the MBSP. Welcome back, everybody. Brandon Worth, Joe Nagy with you, and we got a great episode on deck. Jazzed over a first weekend back of Ferris State Athletics, Joe.
It was a pretty big-time weekend, not going to lie. It was pretty fun, too, getting back in the swing of things, working for athletics, as well as just getting back in the swing of things with seeing now like tailgating and all that stuff, which was a lot of fun. Football had a great weekend against Central Washington. Soccer had a pretty all-right opening weekend. A little bit of a couple kinks to work out, but I think that'll be pretty solid, which we'll all talk about pretty soon. But yeah, great first weekend. I had a lot of fun.
Great first weekend, and it's beautiful today as we're recording this on Tuesday. And not gonna lie,
it was nice out.
It was really nice out. We just got one of our cross country workouts today at the dog park, and boy, it was a hot one. It was a long one, so I'm feeling pretty tired right now. But Joe is giving me all the energy.
As I yawn right now
on this podcast.
I don't know why I'm getting tired all of a sudden.
Guys, we're hanging on by a thread right now.
Basically, first week of class has really knocked the crap out of us, but it's all right. We'll get it going. So without further ado, we'll just hop right into the Ferris State Sports Report so we can get the energy up. We'll start with football. Big weekend, huge win against Central Washington, a team who made the playoffs last year. It was really solid seeing how we were able to do a lot of things that we were pretty much lights out last year, how it kind of carried over. One thing, though, Brandon, offensive line needs a little bit of work.
Yeah, that's definitely the concern moving forward, and definitely probably the number one concern, honestly, we were looking at opening night just to see how that younger offensive line was going to be able to play against a very veteran Central Washington front. Give Central Washington credit. They really played a great ball game, and I mean, just the fact it was 13-20 at halftime, I think can say that by itself. But definitely a lot of takeaways from the first game. Obviously, number one was offensive line is younger, and there's going to be some kinks to work out, that's for sure. And definitely the second one, we're seeing a whole new offense, right? This is definitely a much different scheme.
We threw like 12 times in the first quarter, and I was just like, I don't remember when we've ever thrown 12 times in a game last year.
Yeah,
other than like when Jared went down. Other than that, I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, it's going to be a much different look, and it's going to be kind of, I wouldn't call it more of a basic offense, because it's really not like, I mean, it's still going to be a lot of jet speed, and there's still a lot of times where we're still going to get our guys in space, especially on sweeps and screens and that sort of nature. But when you're looking at a lot of the vertical patterns and a lot of those array of plays that we're not used to seeing, because a lot of it was just so ground heavy. When you had a guy like Jared Bernhardt, who was impossible to bring to the ground last year. Also, shout out to him for making the 53. I mean, that's just that story by itself needs an E60, dude. It needs a 30 for 30. It's just a dog. But yeah, definitely going to be interesting. I mean, we still racked up a lot of yards in this game, regardless of how the perception was that we played, because I know obviously a lot of the fans probably honestly saw a little bit more coming out of this team, which is fine. I mean, especially after winning a national championship, I think that might be, you could see that coming, right? But, I mean, we still had 21 first downs overall. Third down was definitely one that I highlighted when I was looking back at this game. 47% on third down. I know Coach Anise and Coach Rock definitely want to get that up offensively. But, I mean, still, almost 500 yards of total offense, especially the big plays were still there, and that's always good to have on your football team, guys that can make some big plays, especially Xavier Wade on that touchdown. Even though it wasn't the most conventional long ball, it still made it to the end zone in the hands of a Ferris player.
That's all you got to worry about. Yeah, Malik kind of killed it with passing, 339, 19 for 29. It was just a really, really solid showing from a lot of the guys. But like you said, the offensive line has just got to do some work. I think if you give Malik just time in the pocket, he's going to be probably the greatest passer in the nation. We saw it last year when he played Northwood. He tore him apart because he had such a good offensive line that basically gave him time. Granted, Northwood didn't have the greatest defense, but even so, like when you got to the national championship, when we saw what they were able to do against the Valdosta defense and keep them out of, rough or kind of pressuring Jared or even pressuring Malik, like they're able to get a lot of time to make these decisions. And once that kind of gets figured out, it's got to figure out soon, because I think this Lenore Ryan team is going to give us a good run for our money, especially going into their place. And then we have that bye week, and then it's Waldorf. And I think it's going to be a pretty solid one, because for those 2 weeks after Lenore Ryan coming up this weekend, that's going to be a spot where we can really develop and get these guys going. Because if we don't do that soon, I don't think we're going to be able to beat Grand Valley, because they were able to play pretty solid against Colorado School of Mines, and that's why they were able to win so late, because they gave, what's his name, Cade Peterson, that's his name, their quarterback, a lot of time in the pocket. And when he can get some time in the pocket, we saw it when they played us the first time, and we saw when they played in the playoffs too. Like, he's able to tear up some defenses. But once that offensive line gets picked up a little bit, I think that's going to be the key to us going pretty far this season.
Yeah, regardless that they're our rival, I was very impressed with Grand Valley last week, especially I think they were up 16-3 going into the third.
Yeah.
Ended up blowing their lead completely to 25 to whatever, what would have been 22 to 17 or whatever. Yeah. And then they ended up getting a touchdown on their final drive to win that game and beat School of Mines. It was a tough team. They were semifinalists last year, and they borderline were 5 minutes away from beating Valdosta and meeting us in McKinney last year. So that's a really good team as well. So hats off to Grand Valley, and we're certainly going to be looking forward to that anchor bone matchup. But Lenore Ryan on deck, going to be hitting the buses here later this week, heading down to North Carolina. Not me and Joe, unfortunately. We didn't get passes. Sad face. It's
honestly,
okay.
That would have been a rough. I mean, Rob and Sandy and Will have to do like an 11-hour car ride.
Yeah.
So not really too envious of that.
Yeah. I kind of have to race this weekend, so I have probably a good excuse. But I mean, still, it's going to be a fun game. We're looking forward to that. They're dubbing it as their Bears Fight Back theme weekend for this upcoming game. Not really like understanding of what that means, but hey, that's
a little
their
bit
theme
of a gray area there.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I don't know what they're trying to put across, but definitely a good team defensively that showed last week in their week 1 game against Virginia. Was it Virginia State? They played for their opener. They ended up winning, I think, 38-19. So pretty similar score to our game at 36-20. So looking at what they did, not as much offensively, which I think they only put up 308 yards of total offense and 214 were in the air. So they're definitely not the team that's looking to put the ball all over the field, but they definitely seem like a team that is really ready to control their destiny and play their way of football, because they wanted to be able to. It looks like it really looks weird. Like, I'm trying to like fully understand what they were doing, but I think really the only difference of it was they just made quality drives, because it seemed like that Virginia State, like, only one less first down. They had only like 13 less rushing yards. They had like almost 100 yards less offense. They still had 8 punts, and like they still won the game. Or they still, like, it wasn't like even a close game, but it doesn't look like it on the stat column. So very
they must
intrigued.
just had good production when they actually
that I gotta think offensively. Their defense is very solid though. They got some pass rushers that can really get after. So that's going to be probably the number one focal point I'm highlighting for this game is, are we going to be able to pass protect and establish the run game? That's going to be also huge, because we didn't really get it. We're going not to our standards.
It's just that offensive line. Like, we're not able to kind of open up those holes a little bit. We're really getting beat, I think, off the jump, which is unfortunate. But I think if we just get that fixed up. But the defense, though, was just lights out. Like, we have arguably the best defense returning, which is really good. We didn't really lose a whole lot of people. Only, I think it was Liam Daly and maybe a couple other guys that were in the back. I mean, we still have Caleb Murphy, who was GLIAC Player of the Week, or GLIAC Defensive Player of the Week. He had 1.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 3 QB hurries, played incredibly well. You have Olir Oladipo, who really stepped up. He had a couple tackles for loss. We had Major Dedmond, who had a tackle for loss. You have Connor Neer, who's also stepping up. And then, not to mention our Sintel, you got Sydney, who just kept it locked down as corner. Like, we're really solid on that regard, but it's just going to come down to if the offense can kind of produce a little bit better, then we're going to be solid. The defense will hold it down. It's just going to come down to are we going to be able to score more when we have the chance? Because if we keep playing like we did yesterday, I think we'll probably be in a rough spot.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I am not worried about our defense. Not at all. This defense, was absolutely lights out. And I think that was the biggest thing that I took away. And even TA said it in the post game was, man, we're going to ride on our defense because they're playing super good football. So the biggest thing I look at coming in is, are we going to be able to establish our tempo offensively, be able to do it on both dimensions, on the ground and in the air, and simply play Ferris State football. That's the bottom line, because when we're at our best, nobody can stay with us.
No shot.
I mean, when we are able to make big plays, keep the tempo, keep the pressure on, that's just the way we like to play. And sometimes, like you saw a little bit from week one's game, sometimes it was a little too fast or a little bit uncontrolled. And there were some penalties, right? 13 penalties in the opener. Obviously, you want to get those down, but I'm not worried about that. That's a week one thing. So it's going to be a fun game. Really looking forward to it. 2 nationally ranked teams going to be going head-to-head in week 2. What else can you ask for, especially for us, a huge test on the road. But, Joe, we got to bring it back, man, to your GLIAC scoreboard. Give us the goods.
Baby. All right, Saginaw Valley starting off with the Red Feather Classic. Derailed the West Virginia West, I don't even know their mascot, but 72-0, ran them out the building. That was a huge win. Saginaw's coming for a vengeance this year, especially they placed 3rd last year in the GLIAC, so they want to make some noise, and I think they're going to be able to do that. It was Teacher Appreciation Night at Curley Stadium up in Houghton, right?
Yeah.
Houghton, Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan Tech, 23-13 against Wisconsin Platteville. Great win for them. They also are pretty solid in the GLIAC. Fell apart near the end, but I think they're going to be able to make some noise, too, against some of these better teams. Obviously, we know that Grand Valley State won a thriller against Colorado School of Mines, 25-22, in a last-second touchdown. McKendree came to Northern Michigan and really gave them the business. 31-24 OT thriller at the end. What a heartbreak for the Wildcats. Obviously, us, Ferris State 36-20 in Central Washington. Easy money, quick little dub.
Go Dogs.
And then the next day, Saturday, Davenport welcomed Truman. A big win for them, 20-19, starting off the season right. But Wayne State had to take on Slippery Rock, who, as we know, was one of the better teams in the playoffs last year. Did not make the semis, but they were only one round before that. They beat them 42-10. We can't wait to see what the next week is going to be, especially seeing how many good teams are going to be playing some of the teams from the GLIAC. So.
Yeah, also, GLIAC Player of the Week for Caleb Murphy and Malik Mitchell.
That was big time.
That was a cool thing for them.
Little
Shout
sweep.
out to them. A little slow clap for them on the show.
Special teams.
Yes,
used to
you
the
noticed
name.
it.
Special teams was Cy Barnett, who, as many know, was a Bulldog player, but he's now at Davenport.
What?
Had no idea.
Yeah, so he had originally, don't know the whole story. It was clearly made that he was transferring to Samford. He had signed there and whatever. But now we look up the other day and find out that he's on the Davenport roster. And
Weird.
now he's a player of the week for special teams as he performed exponentially awesome for them. And I think he even I used the leading receiver as well. So he could arguably been the offensive player of the week for them. So I don't exactly know how Cy got to Davenport, but, I mean, it's good seeing him playing at his best again. I will say that, and I'll be looking forward to seeing when they come to Top Taggart later this season because he's such a phenomenal player, too, and we wish him the best. But definitely a little bit of a curveball there when I looked up and I saw Cy Barnett's name on the Davenport roster, and I was like,
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Something ain't right.
Hold the phone. But, yeah, congrats to Cy as well, and certainly looking forward to seeing him play on Top Taggart again. But
fun time.
Good round of football. Week 1
Great round
is
of football.
in the books.
GLIAC went 5-2 on the weekend.
That's
so.
pretty solid.
Yeah, not bad at all.
That's a good start.
Not bad at all.
But anyway, transitioning over to the pitch we go. Women's soccer had a almost doubleheader, Friday-Sunday weekend of soccer. It was youth soccer weekend, so promoting Northland United, one of my former teams. Played one season there. Might only got 2 wins, but that's not the point. But
you just couldn't play anymore because you were too good to kick off the team.
Yeah, I had to leave to go to bigger, better places. No, I'm just kidding. We had a younger team. It was like I want to say we were playing U16, and we were all 14-year-olds.
It's
like 14, 13-year-olds. Not going to win at that level, but it was still a great experience. Really enjoyed it. Shout out to Coach Somso if he's listening out there somewhere. Ashland was in town. Really good GMAC team. Beat us 1-0 on Friday.
That was a tough one.
And yeah, me and Joe were there, and obviously, biggest thing I saw, Ashland's defense, lockdown.
Yeah, we could not get any shots on net. We had a lot of shots and kind of gave them a little bit of pressure, but when you don't get anything on frame, it's going to be really tough for you to really kind of pressure the goalie at all. I think she only had to make 3 saves to our 16 shots on goal that we had. So yeah, the production's good, and some may say as just shoot as many times, you're bound to make one, but you got to make sure that they're quality. There's a lot of times where it was outside the box, it was kind of bouncing around, and we took, just to kind of take our time. Didn't get over the ball that much. We sent it flying over the net. We're way too far left, way too far right. I think just having a little bit more composure and making sure that we get those quality shots, that's when it's going to come to fruition for us, because that's what we did with Walsh on the net on Sunday, and we saw it on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I saw, especially looking at the middle of the field, was impossible to get a shot off from, and if it wasn't quality. Just because Ashland's defense up front, especially at the center back spot, was phenomenal. And we tried to get it down the line a little bit, play some through balls, but their wingers are really good at staying true to position, holding the line really well. So they, I want to say, they gave us fits on offsides plenty of times. Try to move some of that forward, but it was overall a pretty interesting game, especially the fact that it was 16 shots to 12. There was a lot of offensive chances from both teams, which sometimes you don't see as much, but Ashland got 6 corner kicks, and that was definitely something. Our defense was not as playing up to their standards as I would say they would like to, so Ashland got a lot more looks, and one of them, the one that they ended up scoring, just came through on a leaked pass, on a little bit of miscommunication, and it left an open shot one-on-one against Daria from about 5-10 feet away. Nothing really she could do there. Just a simple miscommunication. That was really the only difference in this game, honestly. So congrats to Ashland. But, I mean, still, the way we bounced back Sunday, very positive. Really positive. 2-0 win against Walsh. Offense looked so much better. So much better. Defense also looked awesome. They really did a great job of turning it around. Let Friday go. Sunday's a new day, and they certainly made it look like it. Offensively, I want to say they almost put up 20 shots, and they were all quality. If I remember correctly, 21 if to be exact there as I checked the stats. But a lot of great offensive looks. We had 6 corner kicks, and I think we really kept the fouls down a little bit compared to last time. It was a little bit more of a run and chase game, and that was just because simply we had the through ball working. We were able to get through the Walsh backline a couple of times. Izzy Zamborini netting 2 goals. Shout out to her. Definitely earning goal scorer of the game, player of the game in anybody's book.
I thought she was going to get a hat trick in the first half. Not gonna lie.
She was close. I thought almost getting a third one, but get a hat trick. There needs to be a promo for you know how the Tigers do 3 home runs, get curly fries or something. We need to do that. If a player scores a hat trick, everybody gets free hats.
I feel like that'd be a little bit too expensive. You got to make a partnership.
What's the likelihood of a hat trick though?
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, khaki. Ferris Outfitters.
Not gonna lie, I'd rather have a partnership like the Wendy's or something, like a free $5 biggie bag or something. That would kind of be more cool for me.
All right.
I would enjoy that a lot more, but you're also gluten free, so you kind of can't really enjoy that.
Yeah, unfortunate. But anyway,
eat it anyways. It's not that hard.
What? What do you mean, Joe? Literally, my digestive system just folded.
You would get all messed up.
I would get messed up.
That's why you gave me your bread from your sandwich today.
Yeah, that's true. It's actually still sitting in studio right now.
Yeah, I took a bite. It was a little soggy.
Yeah, not going to lie. Shout out to Bulldog Bistro, though. $4.99 for the barbecue pulled pork basket. Well,
obviously. It's a pretty big sandwich.
It is huge. And I actually didn't even pay $4.99 for it. I used a meal swipe, which you can do one per day with the meal exchange. So clutch. After practice ran late, so it was delicious, and I actually had to eat it in studio before we recorded, and it was delicious. Let me tell you what. But anyway, back to soccer after the distraction. Watched better defensively. We gave them almost no quality looks most of the night. I think they ended up with 5 shots total. Yeah, and I think only
no shots on net either.
Yeah, that's super impressive. And I mean, Daria and the back line were in great communication. They were in formation. Really, just absolutely great. I can't think of another word. They were great. So the leadership back there with Nikki May, and especially a lot of the young players as well. We got to see a little bit play Bella Sabo, who we might have on the show later as a sneak peek. Whoa, hey, heads up. Played really well. We got to see Peyton Price play, finally back off of injury. Good to see her on the pitch again. But a lot of these younger players, too, have played some really good minutes. Saw a lot of great things from Lindsay Cole, as well as Brindley Bell, who's a really physical player. I think she actually picked up a yellow card on Sunday.
Yeah, we ain't going to say nothing about it, though.
No, physical game. You got to establish the presence.
That's just what it is.
Me and Joe, we played soccer. We know what we're talking about.
A little jarring both ways, Other team, Walsh had a yellow card, too, so.
Yeah, soccer's not a physical sport. Oh, come on.
Nothing
You've
to
obviously
it.
never played. Come on, man. But anyway, cross country and soccer, most underrated physical sports. Tell me I'm
I was
wrong.
gonna say you're kind of in the trenches on the start. Like you'll like be jarring around.
Oh yeah, elbows
ever-
flying. Elbows flying. Let
You
me
ever
tell you
spike
what.
somebody?
Yes.
Really?
Have I gotten spiked? Yes.
You do it on purpose?
No.
Oh.
It's just when you got 100 people
Well,
getting
yeah.
sandwiched into a line, something bad's gonna
Yeah,
happen
someone's just gonna
naturally.
get cut up. What does that do? Like on your like Achilles tendon, kind of, or like on your ankle? Like
It
where's
depends. Where I got it was like in the shin. It didn't really
Are you-
dig in though.
that? Are you allowed spikes in cross country?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, everybody wears spikes. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but
Most people.
almost like
Do you wear
80,
spikes?
85. Yeah.
Who wears sneakers?
Well, you
running
can wear
shoes.
like the
Somebody's gonna be
plated
somebody's gonna be
track
pulling
shoes
up in,
if it's a good course. Yeah, you could wear
pulling
like
up in Nike Monarchs. Just
no,
a dad shoe.
no. Those stay
you
on
run
the
barefoot?
spectator lines. I don't know why you'd actually want to do that, but I don't know if that's actually
feel
like
like-
illegal.
Why would that not be good?
Be
So-
barefoot?
Yeah.
That would hurt. 1, 2. If you get stepped on, your bones are broken.
Just
And
don't
3,
get stepped on.
you have terrible grip.
Well,
That's probably the more.
feet are natural, so you'd feel like the natural grip would probably give you better.
I don't think that's how it works. But okay.
don't-
Well, I'll tell you what.
You gotta go back to the primal instincts, man.
You come Saturday. You come to the Bulldog invite. I'm shouting out to everybody this. Our first home meet this upcoming September 10th at Khaki. Be there, be square. We'll race 200 meters. You can have spikes and I'll wear barefoot, or the other way around. And we'll see who wins.
All right.
Is that a bet?
Well, you're gonna beat me anyways because you're trained, dude. I'm not built for running.
No, that's why I said you could have the spikes and I'll wear barefoot.
You'll
and you'd
still
probably
win.
beat me.
No,
I don't know,
can't.
dude. Barefoot is
I
hard to
run-
run fast.
I run like an 8-minute mile.
No,
I am not a.
No, we'll do it after
in-shape
the race.
person.
You'll do it after the race because I'll
I'm
be
a-
tired.
We have two very different body types. Brandon. You are a slim runner. I'm more of a guy who just like is a I am champion.
Yeah, I'm
if
the
that
Slim
makes
Reaper.
sense. Yeah, and I'm like the guy that is at a bar and reminisce about the glory days. That's like my build right now.
We still won I Am champs though,
Yeah,
baby.
you know it.
Basketball.
You know it.
Thanks to the guidance of Dorian Aluya and Lee Higgins.
Yeah, that was big time.
Yeah,
Just
you-
shoot the ball.
Shoot the ball, baby. And guess who got 17 points in the championship game?
You did.
This guy.
That was huge.
So, that was huge. But yeah, now I'm reminiscing of the glory days. Look what you made me do. Come on, man. But
Come
anyway.
on, back to soccer.
Yeah, back to soccer. The next game's coming up. Gonna have a couple testers here.
Mhm.
Grand Valley.
That's gonna be a tough one.
That's a
I can't
tester.
wait to talk about that one Thursday.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. Friday at 4 p.m. Grand Valley looking like they just won the national championship. They're playing really good. So this is gonna be a big chess
time.
match. Chess
Big
match
time.
was the word that I was trying to spew out of my mouth. It's going to be a chess match all in one. It's a trest match. I don't know how you
Trest match.
say that, but it's going to be fun. Me and Joe will be there, and it's going to be a great game followed up Sunday, Davenport the 11th, and I heard there's some bling-bling being passed around at that game.
Give me them
So,
rings, baby.
GLIAC Conference
pretty sick.
Championship ring ceremony will take place on Sunday. That's going to be at 1 o'clock, so you can be there as well. But,
Sick.
Anyway, over to volleyball. A couple of volleyball matches last week. One of them being a win Saturday against Missouri S&T. They were over at Hillsdale for the Charger Invitational. I believe there's a total of 4 games spanning over the 3 days.
Yeah.
Ended up going 2-2. Played a good Charger team Thursday, lost 3-1, and that was a team that we were able to actually see go all the way into the regional final last year.
Lost to them
when we
3-2.
hosted them. Yeah,
That was tough.
Dude, Hillsdale's a good program.
Hillsdale is pretty solid.
They're a good
not
team.
Gonna lie.
And they looked really good.
They played well even in the national when they got to like the national tournament part in Tampa.
Yeah,
they played pretty solid.
Yeah, they were playing pretty good, and it's hard to move up to this level of playing up against those teams like Tampa, dude. Those teams are just ridiculous. But
Yeah, you ever wonder that, like why they're so good? I wonder that all
probably
like,
practice a lot.
well, like yeah, but we practice too. But
That's
like why?
true.
Like
They
I guess
just-
it's probably the space. I feel like it's easier to recruit. Like, hey, come to Tampa, Florida, than it is to come to Big Rapids, Michigan.
I think that's probably fair to say.
Yeah.
We don't have beaches around here. We have snow.
We got the Purple Door. That's about it.
We do have the Purple Door, and we do have Crescent Creations
shooters.
231.
That's about it.
We have shooters. But yes. Anyway, on that note, Friday we played Gannon. who is affiliated school to us. A lot of players going to and from there. So it's always good to see them again. We lost them 3-1. They're also a really good quality program out of Pennsylvania. Then we got back on track against a familiar team, Colorado Mines. Beat them 3-1 on Friday. Got the ball rolling to eventually Saturday's win against Missouri S&T. This team definitely, it's not their fault. It's not their fault that they're 2-6. It's really not, because the fact of it is, the teams that we have been blessed for watching the last 3 years, with players like Katie O'Connell, with players like Nina Gorjevska, Samantha Herman, we had so many phenomenal players through this program, and Allison Coppola especially should be named for that. There were so many great teams, and the reality was we really lost a huge amount of the leadership. We still have a couple of returners, like we have Olivia Henneman-Dulampe, Leah Beilet's back there, Kayla Mott will be there for sure. Lost a couples for transfers or whatever, life stuff, but it's still, at the end of the day, you have a really young team going in. I believe when I checked, you have only 2 registered seniors on this roster. That just really puts it into perspective, and one of them is a transfer, Jessica Angelo, who just came from West Florida. So really, one true senior on the roster, and it's Zoe Anderson, who played basketball a year ago. So the fact of it is, you have no seniors, or would have been juniors last year, that would have came over from that GLIAC championship program.
Yeah,
you have
weird.
a lot of the younger players, but now this is kind of that transition year of like, okay, now we got to really start figuring out our identity again. Who's going to be the leaders? Who's going to step up? So they've had 8 games to figure it out, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to play this upcoming week. They're going to have a good test on Friday. They're going to be playing Parkside at home for the conference opener.
Big time.
That's going to be a night game, too, 7 o'clock at Winks, so that'll be fun. I think me and Joe will be there.
That'll be a blast to work.
What do you mean?
It's just
volleyball.
late. It's just late at night.
It is late. I will say that. So they should
I'm not saying I like watching volleyball. Don't get me wrong. It's a fun sport to watch, but I'll have to be there an hour early and then an hour after.
Yeah, and it's especially coming from soccer. We're going to be tired puppies on Friday, but
it's going to be a rough one.
It's going to be all right because they're going to play good. I'm confident in this team, and I really think they're going to do a lot of great things. Definitely got to keep the offense churning. Started to see that click, especially on Friday and Saturday's wins. Much higher hitting percentage, less errors. Those are the things that when you play clean, you play better. And that's the reality of it, is even though Missouri S&T came out guns blazing in the first set of that Saturday game, we stayed the course, made sure there was no errors, being able to really be able to get the assists on point, good passing, and that's what ended up giving us the win. So that's really all you have to say. When you're able to continually be consistent within the details, that's what makes these teams so good. And the reality is, they were a 6-2 team. We beat them, and we were 2-6. What do the records matter? None. Nothing at all. It's who plays the best on any given day.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
And we've obviously know from interviewing Coach Tia that they don't care about records.
Who cares?
They don't care about win streaks or nothing. It's just the day ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a really fun season. And I'm looking forward to seeing that, especially, hopefully, knock on wood, we're able to get in Bulldog Arena, the brand new volleyball facility, very soon. I heard that it's supposed to be possibly delayed still until November. Not sure, though.
Something like that.
They might be playing in Wink all year, which is going to be the price you might have to pay while it's still under construction. But hopefully we can get in there by the end of the season, because that would be a very cool scene to see, because they've been working hard on that building. I mean, I've been up at the athletic complex every day, and being able to see that progress is really cool.
Why did it get delayed so bad?
Yeah.
Was it like
I'm not sure exactly, because they were on schedule for everything, like for the last couple of months. I'm not exactly sure because I think we were supposed to be in the new Center of Athletic Performance, pretty much our new weight room. But apparently there might have been some supplies that was ordered in the wrong size or wrong color or something of that nature. Not totally sure. But that might have been the case, because Coach Thede said that we were supposed to be down there, I think, last week, but then he said it's going to be 2 more weeks because they have some things they're tweaking and whatnot. So hopefully next week we'll be able to lift in the new weight room facility. If you've seen it on Twitter or Instagram,
it looks pretty cleen.
Ooh,
not gonna lie.
my gracious,
it's pretty sick.
Beautiful. I can't wait to be in there, dude. It's going to be so fun. Going to have a center of nutrition. And Thede's going to have his own office. And his lawyer almost has his personal elevator. It's going to
Really?
be so funny. Yeah, there's an elevator literally right down the hall from his office.
That's cool. I gotta stop. Or I guess when I'll make a trip down there because I haven't seen it in person yet.
Yeah.
I saw it when like it was just first starting to get built, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's a super cool facility, and the fact is, like, it's due for what the success that all of our programs have had across the board has been absolutely phenomenal. Football, volleyball, soccer, basketball, every sport has had super success, and we're seeing teams still rising up each and every year, and that's going to be super fun. And I know, especially for like the cross and track programs that I have been able to get the inside feedback on, is that we're really ready to roll this year. And we saw the GLIAC polls come out, and don't think we're not mad about them. So they put us at 6. We think we're 5 fighting for 4. That's beyond everybody else, and we're just going to prove it ourselves. That's really all it is. So, but we're
Get out there and do it.
We're gonna do it. So the GLIAC can keep sleeping with their ranking system, point scale, whatever. I don't care. It's gonna be who shows up at GLIAC, and we'll be ready. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, sir.
So it's gonna be fun. But when we come back, we're gonna tackle college football. Ooh, a lot to unpack.
To the gridiron,
this
baby.
one. We'll be right back. Stay here on the MBSP. Are you a Ferris State student interested in getting into audio production, music, podcasting, or even DJing? Bulldog Radio could be the place for you, with plenty of opportunities and hands-on experience within not only these realms, but the marketing and social media opportunities outside. Join us to have your voice heard. No other place than Bulldog Radio.
Welcome back to the break, I guess, or not welcome back to the break, but welcome back from the break. We're going to hop into some college football. That's the best part about this year. When the start of college athletics returns to the campus, that means college football, and we could not wait even more because there are some huge games on the slate for this past weekend. But I think we should start with our boys in blue, Brandon. What a showing from Michigan against Colorado State. Doing what we need to do. A lot of people thought it was going to be a different aspect, seeing that they're still going with a 2-quarterback program. We don't know who the exact starter is, but if you saw what Coach Harbaugh said, it's biblical, sowing the 2 seeds, and you don't want to make it so that way they leave and go somewhere else. So giving them equal watering of the seeds is what's going to be able to have the program, I guess, have the best success. But Brandon, what were your thoughts in this game? What kind of caught your eye a little bit? It was 51-7, so it was pure domination. But what did you like from J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara?
I feel bad for the two, to be honest.
I do as well.
Because the reality is they're both high quality.
They're both incredible quarterbacks.
QB1. And it's really hard for me to look because, I mean, Cade was great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the stat sheet's not going to show it because he was 9 of 18. There was a lot of throws that were made to receivers that I think literally, like, what was it, earlier in the first quarter, he was throwing to Eric All. Eric All slips on the turf, almost comes into an interception originally ruled, and then it ends up getting overturned. They get a field goal out of it and make it 10-0.
And then he also hits Ronnie Bell right in the hands. And
and he drops it, right?
Drops it.
So it's like you look at those on the stat sheet and you're like, well, oh, guy, he's trash. It's like, no, he's not. He's a leader for sure. I mean, JJ is so talented. I mean, he's got a natural arm,
crazy athlete,
the ability to run. I mean, he had that rushing touchdown, which is super cool. I mean, the guy had 3 carries, 50 yards, touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That's a quarterback. He was our third leading rusher, and the other guy's got to combine 25 touches to get that average of about 140 yards. I mean, that in the just is crazy to me. But, I mean, it's really hard to pick the two. I can understand where Harbaugh's at, kind of, because I think the biggest thing...
They both bring benefits.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is what I tell people all the time. If you put JJ's talent with Cade's just charisma, it's an elite QB1.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it is. And it sucks that it's 2 different people. But the thing of it is, I think what's really making this a true QB competition is Harbaugh going away from his style of scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Because Cade fits what he's had for quarterbacks for a long time. It's how he was playing quarterback, right?
Yeah.
The typical I wouldn't call it a stereotype, but it kind of is. Just a natural QB, a leader, let everybody else make the plays.
Yeah.
JJ's kind of the opposite, right? He's the guy making plays.
Exactly.
And that's kind of fitting to more of what this time of football really is. And it's a shame because they're both really good players. So that's going to be really interesting. I really do give him respect for sticking on his decision for going into week 2 saying that JJ is the starter, because I would love to see what he does with the ones this week. I mean, that's going to be kind of what's going to determine this, because if he comes out guns a-blazing, goes 20 for 20 for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, we know who won the job. It's that simple. But it's just crazy because in normal situations, we say this about Ferris all the time too, right? You go from a championship caliber program that won a conference championship a year ago, was almost a win away from being in the national title game, and the guy that brought you there could get replaced. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's just a fortunate situation for the QB room in Michigan, but it's hard to really look at those two guys. Man, you got to pick one. But I mean, outside of that, defense was very strong. I was really, really impressed with our front seven. Lost a lot of great guys. Jabo, Hutch, off that line. You were thinking, man, there's really not a lot of pass rusher guys that can really like make a true impact on this defensive line. And then you see especially guys that stepped up, not even just from the line, but because, I mean, you got guys like Chris Jenkins and you got Mozzie Smith, Michael Barrett in there, but you got all these other guys around them that they're making this defense so hyperdimensional with Junior Colson, Rod Moore, Mike Sanderstill, who's now playing DB from receiver a year ago. Those guys like cats just flinging off the line of scrimmage on DV blitzes and all these different packages. I mean, Junior Colson had 10 tackles. That's just crazy. Like, we had so many times where you were just like, ooh, it's third down. Let's see if we dial up some pressure here. And they throw out this crazy dog blitz, and you're like, oh, snap. Like, this defense is clicking. Because we saw, like, a couple times last year, we're like, they got the pass rush. The secondary guys are kind of a little squirmish. What's the word I would probably say?
Squeamish, yeah.
Squeamish, maybe. But I give them a lot of credit. The defense played really well. Really putting the foot on the gas the entire part of the game, whether it was first, second, or third guys in. Rushing attack looks awesome. Corum and Edwards, 1-2 punch, is going to be unstoppable. Receivers looked really good. Roman Wilson making plays like always. And it's kind of just a shame for them because the fact is they're not going to get a lot of the football thrown to them when those two guys are running all over the place. And then you add A.J. Henning to the mix, and you're like, holy cow, these guys are going to take all the touches. But definitely one notable stat thing I'll end with this is they had, I think it was 18 completions combined of all the quarterbacks. We saw a little bit of Alan Bowman in the fourth quarter as well. Haven't seen him actually in a while. We had Dan Villari last year, but 18 completions, 15 different receivers, pass catchers.
That's crazy.
The only guys that have multiple catches, Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson, and Colston Loveland. Those were the only guys that got multiple, and those guys had 2 catches. So
crazy. Very
crazy the amount of plethora of weapons that we're using in our scheme. But at the end of the day, we were also up
a lot.
Huge in the fourth quarter. 37-0 was the score at the end of the third quarter. So understandable there, but looking good. 8th ranked team now moved up to 4 according to the AP poll that just came out today. So I think it's worthy. But can't act like a 4th ranked team. Got to act like an 8th ranked team because what we saw was good. If we do that next week against Hawaii, I'm going to feel really good going into Big Ten.
It's weird how we're playing 2 Mountain West teams.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Games. And then we got UConn, which pray for UConn. But anyways, other games on the slate, kind of go through a couple here. Some notable ones. Ole Miss beat Troy 28-10. Thought that was going to be a little bit more of a blowout, but some pretty solid effort shown by Troy there. USC did the business to Rice 66-14. Georgia versus Oregon. What happened?
Oregon didn't get off the bus, man.
Bad. Bo Nix, I always thought that Bo Nix was a mediocre SEC quarterback when he was at Auburn. He lost the starting job, and then he goes to Oregon. Of course, Oregon has had some very tragic things they had to deal with as a program, losing Spencer Webb. But, just in general, they could not stop Georgia. I don't know if it was just the emotions and stuff like that, but to put only 3 points up for a team that was, in the top 25 and a number 11 and projected to, make some noise later on in the season, which they very well could. But if you can't, at least put 10 to 15 points on defending national champions, then you really don't deserve to be that high ranked or have that much hype around you. But I don't know. They just did not look very good. Georgia, on the other hand, clicked on all cylinders.
This was personal. It was a personal game. Dan Lanning going to Oregon from Georgia, defensive coordinator. Georgia literally looked like they were as good, if not better, than they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
They flat out shut down Oregon's offense. That was going into the season, they bring over Bo Nix. They get some offensive strategists in the room for coaches. They got a bunch of good running backs with Caldwell. Oh, we got to play against the national championship defense. And they wrecked them. Absolutely wrecked them.
And they had a lot of guys who left too.
Yeah.
Georgia, and they were able to replenish, which is scary.
Yeah, there was 2 interceptions on Bo Nix. I think he finished with a QBR just at 58, 59.
I think it was even less than that.
Yeah, he was like, here's the final 21 of 37, 173 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. QBR 58.9. You want to know what Stinson Bennett did? 97.3.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns, 368 yards, 25 of 31. And that dude was written as overrated. That was personal.
I think that showed, especially seeing how he played just lights out. The guy was insane.
Unbelievable. Kirby Smart's crew played with a passion in that game that we kind of wanted to see from Georgia for a while. Kenny McIntosh also was awesome. 9 catch, 117 yards from him. He's going to be a stud. And I think there's a lot to look forward to with Oregon's program, but this definitely does not put faith into the fan base whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to be looking at this like, it's against Georgia. They knew Dan Lanning's playbook. I'm like, what? They knew Dan Lanning's playbook? Like, they have a new coach. What? You can use that excuse all you want, but it's a new step for Oregon, and obviously you're not going to have the success right out of the gate because, it took Justin Herbert time to flourish. So you got to be patient. You got to be patient. Bo Nix will be a Heisman candidate by the end of the season. It's just week 1. But the only thing I had to say about this game, as I mentioned 4 times already, was Georgia played like this game meant something to them more than on the football field. Yeah. They were absolutely, funny as it, dogs out there.
Dogs.
So that's truly what it was. But another game, Joe, I'm sure that you were looking into that I watched a little bit of, a close one. Boy, Notre Dame and Ohio State put on a show. Final 21-10. Buckeyes sneak it out at the shoe. Very tough game. And I'll give Marcus Freeman, is I believe the coach's name, right, for Notre Dame. I'll give him a lot of credit. He seems like a really good dude, an awesome replacement for Notre Dame.
I will say this too. Tyler Buckner, the quarterback for Notre Dame, has a lot of potential.
He does. He does.
Has a lot of potential. He was, I think it was 6 for 6 for his first receptions and was throwing it pretty solid. He just needs to get a little bit more authority on the throws because there's sometimes where or at least just be more like confident when he makes a decision because there's sometimes when he's lobbing the throw and it kind of shouldn't be lobbed. It should be more kind of a powerful one. There's also sometimes where he's throwing it too hard and it's a little bit iffy in that regards, but he's got a lot of potential, especially since he was able to, march down the field multiple times against the Buckeye defense, who arguably is one of the better ones in college football, and they played really well last year and probably going to do the same this year.
Yeah, and especially for him in his first game as a starter against the number two team in the country at their place, at the shoe. Not the best first draw for your first college football game.
Yeah, so, especially your first college football start.
Yeah, that's a tough one that's a tough one to be thrown into, but
I think he did a really good job.
I didn't think he did bad. He was 10 of 18, 177 yards. That Notre Dame offense, it just needs something, right? It's just a little dull. It just doesn't
have a playmaker.
Yeah.
Like before they had, I can't even remember the last time that they had like an actual like playmaker.
Yeah, they had Skarnick the other year, but I didn't see him as
I guess that Ian Book, right?
Book was all right,
He was all right, but they just need, I think if they just get some guys in the receiving core, that's just what they need because they don't have anybody who's like a crazy athlete that'll just, haul in whatever. They just got guys who are able to kind of do their jobs. Like nobody kind of really stuck out at all, especially Michael Mayer, who got 5 receptions, who was the main target. He only had 32 yards. You can't really do too much when your main guy's getting that much,
Yeah, you need some guys that are going to be dudes you can give the ball to on 4th down and expect a first down. Because they have a lot of great role-fitting players, right? Like Chris Tyree, he's a good running back. Is he the most dynamic running back you're looking for on 3rd down? No,
not
he's
really.
going to be the guy that's going to pick up you chunks of yards. But the reality is the other side has those guys. Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams both in that backfield look scary. And They have now Emeka Mbuke. They have Marvin Harrison Jr. Jackson Smith and Jigma didn't even play. I'm not exactly sure what happened, if he got knocked out early in that game, if he was injured or whatever. But he only saw I think he had a hard hit or something, and he actually never even returned to the game. And he didn't need to, because they were looking so good with Stroud.
You don't really want to. I mean, Ryan Day made the right decision. You don't want to like waste him this early in the season. You're not even in conference play yet, and you got big conference games that you're going to be playing, and you want him for those. So basically trying to force him out there or not forcing him out there was a really good decision. Because what would have happened if he had some bad, like if he really messed something up? Then it would be like, oh well, our main guy's out. They have a good receiving core, but other than like having your main guy who basically won your bowl game for you last year, out. Yeah. Tough look.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be fun to see. I think Notre Dame's still a really good team. I really like what they saw energy-wise, because they kept bringing it, even though there was a lot against them early on. But
what does their schedule look like?
They got an easier schedule, I would say. Not necessarily.
BYU is like their only big one. Yeah. And then at the end of the season, they play USC.
Right, yeah. So, I believe towards the end of the season, it gets a little bit better, as they still kind of flirt around with who they want to maybe join conference-wise, because, who knows at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe, I'd love to see them in the Big Ten. I think that would be kind of cool. But
Big Ten is going to have, it's close to 16 teams once this whole debacle is over.
Oregon, Washington are in talks with them, so I think it'd be very interesting.
I feel like you're going to see but that's the thing, okay? Like, little short tangent here. If you, just take the best teams in those conferences, like the Pac-12 and stuff, we're not going to have a group of 5 or a Power 5.
No.
It's going to be like a Power 3, and everybody else just plays for pity at that point.
Yeah.
Because you think Washington State is going to be able to compete ever? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because if you have those guys, if you have like UCLA, USC, and all those teams talking and joining the Big Ten or talking and joining the SEC or the Big 12 or something, and even the Big 12 now that you don't have that Oregon or Oklahoma and Texas are going to be moving to the SEC for football, that still is going to be a very depleted conference. I hate that this whole moving around stuff is going on, and it's just like it's only money talks too, which is the most annoying part. Because why would you have 2 teams in California move over to a place where everybody's on the at least Midwest or East side of the country? Makes no sense.
Yeah, I think I know Jim Harbaugh definitely mentioned his opinion on it, that it should geographically have a big factor in how a lot of these teams are being able to be realigned. But I think the biggest thing, especially now, like literally how many days ago was it that they announced that in 26 we're going to 12 playoff teams. So that's going to make a huge difference on how teams are going to be selected as far as what you see of a college program that is a capable, successful check mark that, they're a playoff team. Because now it was originally you're a conference champion, you have played the best teams and beat them in the hardest scenarios, and that was why it was 4. Like, there was really because we've always had the historical background of using the BCS system, we're using the top 2 aligned matchups with bowl games, and then we go to the CDFP, and now we've always had the idea of you got to hit the holy grail to be able to be in line for a national championship. So 4 or nothing at this point, right? And it's kind of a shame, because in reality, once you build a top-notch program, Alabama, it's hard to keep them out of it every year when they keep filing guys in. But the reality is, I think the 12 is going to be very interesting. I think it's definitely. I don't want 16. I don't want 16. I know there's
way too much.
I think that's too many. I know some people can make the argument of giving a lot of these mid-major teams a chance too. I think 12 does that.
I think with 12, I think if you just have that where all the conferences, that conference winner goes in, and then you just fill in the cracks with everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think 12 and 8 are probably what is probably the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I do like the 12 because it still brings that area of prominence that you can shoot for as a high quality program. So if you had 8, for example, Bama shooting for the same thing hypothetically against a team like Oregon last year.
Yeah.
They're going to be in the same spot where now it's especially after what we saw week 1, they're not in the same ballpark. So if Oregon's going to make the playoff, they're going to have to earn it one more game to be able to play a team potentially like Ohio, play a team like Georgia in that playoff game. So I think the 12 will be very interesting, and I think it's going to be really fun to see how it makes this change of conferences now start to switch, because, I mean, the ball started really rolling when Texas and Oklahoma said, all right, see you, Big 12.
Yeah.
Just like, huh? What? We're going to the SEC. Wait, what? Now the Pac-12 almost disintegrates. Big 12 starts saying, we might want to get some teams and move them along here.
Yeah.
And you have teams like Cincinnati that want to move up. They join the Big 12. They leave whatever it was, the American. And now you got these small conferences looking small again because everybody wants to go big. And I got to say, it looks like they knew this was coming, because in reality now, these super conferences, it almost looks like, we're slating this to the fact where we're going to have 3 or 4 of the best conferences in the country, and you got to be in the top 3 to have a chance to play postseason football, which is crazy because at the end of the day, a year ago, it was, maybe you're the best team in your conference, but you still aren't even close.
And I think that'll definitely take away I say it's a problem, but it's a touchy subject for a lot of different people. It'll take away the whole thing of, like, players sitting out for bowl games. Mm-hmm. Because now that you're in a chance where you have a bowl game, and it'll give these players who are definitely league bound, but they're on the lower teams that like Kenny Pickett last year for Pitt. They were ranked 8 when they
played against Michigan State, who didn't have Kenneth Walker that day. Yeah,
because they both sat out. Yeah. It would have been a very good game to see both of them play and see 2 very high action offensive players go at it and go battle. But when they sit out because they want to save it, it kind of just takes away from the game a little bit.
Yeah, I remember watching that game.
And
it was dull.
And that it's not the best that these 2 teams can play because they have players who want to save it for themselves. And I think that's just pretty selfish. Obviously, we've had this conversation before. But I think it's going to take away that for a lot of those teams that have those high-action players that want to save it. But, hey, now I might be able to get into the playoffs. I can up my draft stock by making it, 2 more games, and I can get to the semis, which is going to show everybody that I can perform on the big stage, rather than these guys who are, I did my best, we just made a bowl game, I'm not going to risk it.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, and especially now that their teams have 4 years to hypothetically make their move. Now, where it seemed like it was going to become way faster than ever, but I mean, you got a lot of these teams now that are going to be kind of on the bubble, that are really going to see what they're going to be doing moving on, because you got a lot of these teams, and the most prominent example was Cincinnati, right? Being in the American, now moving to the Big 12. There's a lot of teams that are they're right on that brink of maybe pushing in there. But they're just not quite big enough, not enough prominence yet. They're kind of punching the door, but it's not opening.
Yeah.
Some years they kind of crack it open, but then somebody slams it shut with a bad performance. So you have a lot of these teams where you kind of look, and I mean, especially for like hypothetically FCS teams now, the door is open for them more than ever now with some of these teams trying to move up, because they know, hey, we got to get in the Big 12, man, or because we're not going to make it anywhere close in the American when they got 4 teams that are in the top 10, because that's the reality now with how this is getting slated out. But it's going to be really interesting, and I think this college football season, it's going to have more media headlines than ever. It kind of already has, especially with one team in particular, especially with the Monday game, but. I think with Clemson, I think they're definitely a team that you still see the glimpses, but they're still not the same Clemson team, because I know there's going to be people that, before the season, right, they're 4. So hypothetically, they're looked at as a team that should be in the playoff according to the preseason. But there's a lot of guys now that after, I know they played Georgia Tech, but they didn't really get it going until the 4th quarter. So I think that really looks at, are they really that good a team? But I think there's going to be a lot of those conversations now where you have a high-quality program that might have an off year, but now with the 12, they're going to get a shot here, and they're going to become a sleeper team. I think that's going to be really interesting. And then there's some teams that just need to figure it out. Identity, football, everything. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
LSU. But that's just the way it's going to go for them.
I laughed when Brian Kelly was like, we just played terrible.
Yeah. And people paid that much money to get him there, to get everybody there, to get that whole system in place, all the shenanigans with the media, for them to lose in week 1 to Florida State. Give credit to Florida State. They played well, but
played pretty solid.
That's a letdown for LSU. And I saw some on Twitter that said, "Oh, Coach O's getting on a mic today. Let me tell you what." And I'm like, probably is. He's probably on a podcast somewhere saying, my day, we never lost Florida State. So, oh boy, it's going to be a fun ride here in college football, and it's back though. This is really the time of years we wait for. Year after year. I mean, whether it's watching Central Michigan or waiting all the way up until the BCS when we end up seeing the college football playoff. It'd be kind of interesting if we had a point system with the college football playoff. I know that's definitely not what needs to happen, but I thought about that the other day. What if the college football playoff, they started actually going to a points base for their top 12 teams? I think that'd drive people crazy, but it would be very interesting if that happened. It just feels weird because now we seem like every idea is now like, oh yeah, they'll probably consider it, because the reality is like, oh, wait, 4 teams was a problem? Well, it was 2 years ago, and now we have 12. So reality, maybe it's 24 when we're old, Joe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be a 64-team thing.
Yeah, March Madness with football. They're going to actually wait and play in the snow. I don't know how that's going to work,
That'd
but
be crazy.
Maybe they'll figure it out. But it'll sure be interesting. We'll be sure to bring you all the analysis as we keep going here.
Absolutely.
Throughout the season. It's going to be fun. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. We look forward to getting the interviews back. They will be back. I know some people have been asking, and thank you for all that put out and answered our poll question on Spotify, what we should add for the show. We got a plethora of responses. As I said, they love the staff and player interviews. Don't worry, they're coming. They're scheduled. We will get to them, and you might want to hit the subscribe button for Thursday if you got the sneak peek halfway through the episode, because they're going to be back and coming in hot starting Thursday with the interviews.
Yes, sir.
So we're excited for that.
Yes, sir.
Going to be a fun ride. Me and Joe have really enjoyed putting this thing together, and the final year we're together, we're going to let it ride as long as we can, baby.
Yes, sir.
So,
cannot wait.
For sure. Be sure to subscribe on all of our podcast platforms, as well as our other media platforms, that being YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. If you need to follow all those, hey, me and Joe we kind of put something together here.
Check the link tree in our Instagram bio.
Yeah, go to the bio.
Makes it easy, simple, easy breezy.
Yeah, go to the bio. We made a link tree just for you guys to our central dashboard for all the show stuff. So you can check that out and make sure that you subscribe. Once again, I feel like I say that all the time, but I heard a rumor that if the more you say it, the more people remember it, and the more they'll actually do it.
Or people just say you're rambling.
Yeah, so subscribe. Did I miss one?
I don't think so.
Okay, make sure you subscribe.
Take care, everybody.